Doubles and coffee. What an absolute disgrace. Rhoda Barrett, not only has the population found out that you were paid by Colm Imber $3.3 million to spew the most disgusting, nasty, dishonest rubbish about PNM, attacking UNC and so on. Not only were you a paid political blogging assassin, but yesterday you doubled down on more of your lies that sent panic through an entire nation, through a people, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know why though. I don't know why they bother to listen to you, to send me your post when I know what a dishonest, despicable human being you are. But somehow, when it comes to serious critical matters, citizens give people like you some sort of credence and credibility, and they get fearful for the safety of themselves and their family and their children, which is very serious. So Rhoda Barrett, you must be smiling and you must be feeling good that you sent the population into a panic yesterday with your nonsense and your lies. And then the other idiot, the blithering fool who broke a Guinness Book of World Records record for the shortest stint as a selected prime minister, the Imran Khan bully from St. Mary's College, the dustbin terrier, the clown who can't talk on a platform, the elitist imbecile who did not know that he was the selected prime minister who had shattered the economy as the Gary Sobers of Keith Rowley. He pick up what Rhoda Barrett say and start to ask the prime minister of the country, a serious, intelligent woman who has our nation and its people at her heart, to comment on what Rhoda Barrett say. It was a total blatant lie, small pin. But you of all, you should know about Rhoda Barrett, because when you chose your cabinet, she got fired. Isn't that true? Why don't you tell us why you fired Rhoda Barrett, Stuart Smallpin Young? But let me read for you what this clown, whose picture is up in the airport, because Rowley selected he to be a PNM, whatever they call it. I can't even say the word. Never elected as prime minister, not one vote as prime minister, no election victory as prime minister, but wanted to collect 40 million in pension and find the government wrong for taking the pension and setting a precedent across the board for all public officials. Here's Stuart Smallpin Young commenting on a ridiculous, manufactured, dishonest, lying post by Rhoda Barrett. This fool Stuart Smallpin Dustbin Terrier Young. Imran boy, when I see you, I'll give you a high five for putting he in that dustbin. Like many citizens, I have been waiting on the Prime Minister as head of the cabinet and chair of the National Security Council to address us. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister has been in hiding for days now and not addressing the growing concerns of uncertainty. It is the Prime Minister's responsibility to address the nation immediately and provide the population with information and reassurance. Do your job, Madam Prime Minister. Stuart Richard Young, Dustbin Terrier. Kamla Prasad Bissessa was at home at a Diwali function with the entire U.S. Embassy staff. I repeat, Kamla Prasad Bissessa was at home with an official visit from the entire U.S. Embassy staff for Diwali that we're celebrating. Kamla Prasad Bissessa is doing her job perfectly all over this country, attending events, debating, while the PNM collapsed in the budget, because all of them want to be leaders, and all of them want to get more airtime than penny. So they didn't want to debate at 2 a.m. because there's Smallpin who feel he want to lead the PNM and come back to go in an election to try to be prime minister. You call member to find he day, and he must get because he was the Minister of Finance and collapsed the economy. So he want to see if Guardian go put his pic there on our front page. And they sat there fighting amongst themselves and not debating, and allowed a budget debate to collapse for the first time in history, the shortest budget debate, because the PNM collapsed. But then this clown is telling the Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, that she must comment on this. Here, Rhoda Barrett, PM and AG reportedly in safe houses. What safe house? What concoction? The PM was in his normal house with the U.S. Embassy officials, while Rhoda Barrett and Stuart Young were panicking the country about all sorts of nonsense, total fabrication. But all you want to charge Christmas list with sedition. And Christmas list, you all go and listen to that video. He went to court just a few days ago and did a video, and he made some claims against Keith Christopher Rowley. All you go and pay attention to that, because that going international. New source, this clown Rhoda Barrett, 3.3 million from Coleman, but fired by Stuart Richard Young and Vishnu Dan Paul. But Stuart Richard Young now using what news source say to try to sound relevant, to tell the Prime Minister to take on lies and fabrication and concoctions from Rhoda Barrett. Rhoda Barrett, you know, I talk about 23 UE students, and they say you are the most vile human being in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. News sources reliably informed that we have also been informed that the PM and AG are to be moved to safe houses identified for them. These plans were discussed last weekend. Yeah, you was in the discussions, and Rhoda. President Kangaloo is also out of the jurisdiction for the next 2 weeks. And Wade Mark, who was sworn in last night, is currently acting as the country's president. Yeah, the President Kangaloo's visit was planned like only about 8 months. He gave notice, and that is just a normal thing. I would urge citizens, says Rhoda Barrett, to pay attention to warnings on the U.S. Embassy pages to their citizens located here, since neither Mousy, who she's referring to, Mousy is the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, nor her government are saying anything to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. To my people of Trinidad and Tobago, Rhoda Barrett is an imbecile. Rhoda Barrett is a paid PNM clown. Rhoda Barrett was dishonest to you every time, because the information only came out now about exactly how much she was paid by Colm Imbot to say that Colm Imbot is great, that Colm Imbot is smart, that Colm Imbot is honest, that Colm Imbot loves people. Imagine that. You really had to be paid that amount to talk that amount of nonsense. To my citizens, please, do not give these imbeciles, these people who only benefit, them fighting for poor people. You know, she $3.3 million talking about PNM and black people and sowing seeds of division and nonsense. The geopolitical situation, you could get your information. Is USA, is Donald Trump and Maduro. Their CIA, you all could hear CNN saying their CIA has been authorized to operate over there. That had nothing to do with Trinidad and Tobago. Kamla Persad-Bissessar has said nothing about that. That is USA and Venezuela issue. Trinidad and Tobago is safe and sound. USA and the embassy will tell their citizens what to do. They tell them don't go by Lavanti also, don't go in hotspots, don't venture anywhere. That is the prerogative of a sovereign nation called the USA. To have this clown Rhoda Barrett trying to insinuate that Kamla Persad-Bissessar and John Jeremy, first and foremost, if anything untoward was to be happening in this country, Kamla Persad-Bissessar would be the first one out front, standing firm, standing with her people. When it flood and she's there, she's out in the boots, out in the mud, out in the river, in canoe, giving help. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is not a coward like Rowley. Every time a storm come out, a flood, he run the opposite direction. It flooded in South, he in Tobago. It flooded in Cuba, he drive past Cuba and go and see 3 Mall for an opening of a shop. That is Rowley. Rowley is a bully. Rowley is a coward. Small Pin is a bully. Small Pin is a coward. Small Pin bully Imran Khan for 5 years until the boy had no other recourse but to hit back, beat him, batter him and throw him in a dustbin. If there's any problem, Kamala Prasad is a brave, strong woman who has beaten Small Pin, beaten Rowley, beaten Rhoda, beaten Con, beaten Marvelous Marva, who talking about Double Palm, beaten all of them one by one. So stay calm, get your information from real sources, not fake sauce, not sour sauce, not rotten sauce, and definitely not new sauce. Rhoda, you're sick, y'all. Bless.